Welcome back once again to your ANC Edumate YouTube channel. So here we are going to analyze the important activities and notes, the complete textual notes and activities, the poem The Wreck of the Titanic. Activity 1, read and respond. Why was the Titanic called a poem of iron and steel? Titanic is called, there you can add is also. Titanic is called a poem of iron and steel because it was a grand and beautiful like a poem. It was grand and beautiful like a poem. Question number 2, what was the feeling of the people on board inside the ship when they started the journey? The people on board felt that they were safe and they would not meet any danger. What was the ominous form? Very bad. Ominous means very bad form. That shape, form means shape that loomed out of the darkness, which appeared very fast from the darkness. The ominous form that loomed out of the darkness was the huge iceberg that would collide, will damage or struck with the Titanic and break the Titanic cap. Question number 4. Why was Captain Smith, the commander of the ship, called brave? Brave means courageous. Captain Smith, the commander of the ship, was called brave because for not even for one moment he thought of saving his life when he knew the ship was sinking, going under the water. That means he did not think about his life. He stood on the bridge and told his crew, the workers of the ship, that they were British and they should remember their country and should do their duty to save the lives of especially women and children. They should save the passengers first. Question number 5. Who got the top priority to be rescued from the ship, sinking Titanic ship? Yeah, who was to be first saved from? Women and children got the top priority, first priority to be saved, rescued from the sinking ship, the ship which was going under the water. Question number 6. What was the only hope for the people of sinking Titanic when all boats sailed away? All the rescue boats were sailed away. When all boats sailed away, the only hope for the people of the sinking Titanic was eternity, the hope that will go to heaven. What were the bandsmen doing when the Titanic was sinking? So we know they were singing that song. When the Titanic was sinking, the bandsmen were playing the hymn, prayer song. Nearer, my God, to thee. Oh God, we are coming very close to you. It shows how courageous they were even in the face of danger. Question number 8. What was the awfully grand scene according to the poet? This question was in one of the public examinations. According to the poet, the awfully grand scene was the courage displayed. Displayed means showed by those who were left out in the sinking ship. One of them could have saved his life, but he offered his place to his friend and willingly accepted death. Definitely, that was awfully grand. Question number 9. Why would the story of the Titanic be remembered always? The story of the Titanic would be remembered always because of two reasons. First, it was the greatest maritime sea tragedy, maritime ocean tragedy ever occurred in the world history. Second, the sacrifice or the dedication one sailor means one of the crew members made by sending another person in his place, accepting death voluntarily. He says that I will die. You go and save your life and save your family will be remembered always. There is no sacrifice greater than giving up one's life, one's friend. Activity 2. Have you heard or read about any such persons? Share your answers with your friends. The crew of the Titanic were real heroes because even in the face of death, they were duty bound, upholding certain values and principles. Do you know any such a person who has upheld moral values and principles even in the moment of death? I have read about one such person. He is Sidney Carton in the novel A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. My dear students, it is a very famous adventurous novel, A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It is available in the library. Please try to pick up that novel. Okay, and read Sidney Carton's. A Captain is actually the character in that novel. In the end, we see Sidney Carton willingly dying in place for Charles Darby, who was the husband of Lucy Manet. Sidney Carton had loved Lucy before she married Charles. Charles was to be guillotined. His head should be cut out by killing himself. Sidney, who had some resemblance to Charles, saves Charles from the prison and dies on his behalf. That is. Activity 3. Appreciation of the poem. Read the poem more critically again and think of it in terms of theme, emotion, language, relevance. Add more points to each of the boxes given related to the theme, emotion, language, and relevance of the poem. You see here, we can see theme. So actually, the wreck of the Titanic is highlighting the theme of shipwreck. So theme, shipwreck. Then second one, duty. Duty is very important as far as the crew members is considered. Third one is a sacrifice. So the three things are relevant in the case of a theme, shipwreck, duty, sacrifice. Let us discuss about emotion. Emotion is showing about their patriotism. Patriotism means a love for one's own country. Second one, love for one's fellow beings, love for other brothers, fellow beings, brothers or sisters. And third emotion is piety. Okay, piety, showing consideration, feeling, and emotion for other suffering people. Then, what is the language? Language, when I was teaching the poem ship of the ship of the or wreck of the Titanic is simple language used, and another is lucid language. Even if it's simple, it is very clear for the readers, and also it is a conversational language. Okay, it's a kind of a conversational language. That is then relevance, importance. So relevance here means important. Let us see the need for compassion, First one is insight about crisis management. Insight means inner visions about crisis management, how to tackle or solve the problems. The second one is the need for compassion, how to feel sympathy and empathy for the suffering people. Then fortitude, courage and heroism. Courage and heroism in times of crises. Crisis plural, crisis singular. Okay. Share your ideas with your friends in your group, collect more views from them, and increase your understanding of the poem. Based on your analysis, write a critical appreciation of the poem, The Wreck of the Titanic. The poem, The Wreck of the Titanic by Benjamin Peck is an excellent one. The poem tells how noble people could be even in times of danger. It talks about the sinking of the Titanic and brings out the best in men even in the most adverse means opposite or difficult circumstances, situations, threatening, making ourselves afraid of those people's lives. So we are going for the answer of the critical appreciation of the poem. From Southampton, the Titanic starts her journey. It was a beautiful and grand ship. She was a sea tree. So Titanic was a dream of the sea. Thousands of people standing on the shore watched her streaming. Steaming means traveling away from the port. She was the largest and the grandest of all the ships made until then. There were thousands of passengers in the ship. They felt very secure, very sure, very safe. Nobody thought of any danger. As the captain stood at the wheel, he was directing the course of the ship, the direction of the ship. The ship was speeding on her first voyage when suddenly out of the darkness in the night, a ghostly white iceberg appeared. You see, huge white iceberg. Soon it collided, struck with the ship, wrecking, damaging, breaking the ship. It soon began to sink and people knew it was sinking. Captain Smith was the commander of the ship. He was brave. Not even for one moment he thought of saving his life. He did not think about saving his own life. He stood on the bridge and told his crew, the workmen of the ship, that they were British and they should remember their country, show patriotism, and should do their duty. Should, please, SHOULD, CF should be cut out. Okay, should do their duty. The Titanic sank from sight as the band, you see the music band, played a hymn, a prayer song, Nearer My God to Thee. There never was a scene grander or more tragic than this. The ship was sinking, but the band was playing. All credit goes to Smith, the crew and the men of Titanic. Their bravery and courage will be remembered forever. They had showed such courage and nobility during the great tragedy. The poem has different themes. We have discussed and completed the table, which include shipwreck, duty, and sacrifice. It appeals to our emotions like patriotism, love for one's fellow beings, and piety. The poetess used simple, lucid, and conversational language. The poem is in rhyme and the rhyming scheme is AABP. It has a fine rhythm and it sounds melodious. It has a fine imagery and the poet has used a number of figures of speeches, especially metaphor and personification. The poem has great relevance as it gives insights about crisis management and the need for compassion, fortitude, and heroism in times of crisis. We know that newspaper reports are non-fictional. They give us factual information about an incident. Study the features of a good newspaper report as given on below. You see, headline. A newspaper should have a headline. Headline should be short and attention grabbing. It should attract the readers. Byline. Usually written below the headline, it may carry the writer's name, that is byline. Paragraphs follow the inverted pyramid principle rules. The most important details come in the initial paragraphs. Then quotes. It will be interesting and useful to quote the words of people involved in the incident. The people who involved in the incident, what did they speak? Those quotes will be included in the newspaper report and it should be in a inverted pyramid principle. Facts and opinions. Try to add all the truths, facts possible using the 5 W's. Who said it? Who is involved? And what is the news about? Why this news happened? And where did the news happen? And when did the news happen? Third person. The report is written in the third person narrative as the reporter is retelling the incident without being involved in the reporting. Work in groups and fill up the table. It is not a till up, it is a fill up. Fill. Fill up the table given below. Headline, byline, paragraphs, number and broad outline of each paragraph, who, what, why, where, when, quotations, narration and opinions of the survivors. It is in your textbook. Features. Features is always including details. So let us see headline, the Titanic sinks. 1,500 passengers feared death. Byline paragraphs, broad outline of each paragraph. Report by Rahul Binoy 5. Start of the voyage, number of passengers, a description of the ship. How happy and confident the people were. The iceberg hitting the ship and wrecking it, it begins to sink. The heroic Captain Smith and the crew deciding to evacuate passengers. The band playing and the crew and the male passengers going down. The lesson to be learned, nobility and heroism of people. Survivor's opinion. I have never seen anything more tragic and nobler in all my life. This you can fill with the a table. Use the clues in the table and prepare a newspaper report about the wreck of the Titanic. So, using those clues, we are writing a newspaper report about the wreck of the Titanic. The Titanic sinks, more than 1,500 people dead. Southampton, 15 April 1912. The Titanic, which began its maiden voyage first journey from Southampton to New York, collided with a huge iceberg and sank in the icy waters of Newfoundland. It was the biggest passenger ship ever made and it was supposed to be unsinkable. There were 2,220 passengers and nearly 60 crew members. The captain was Mr. Smith. Since the ship was thought to be safe, it earned only a few lifeboats. Captain Smith and the crew behaved gallantly. Instead, rushing to safety, they allowed the passengers to go into the lifeboats. They asked the women and children to enter the lifeboats first. More than 1,500 people could not get to safety and they sank with the Titanic. What Captain Smith, the crew, and the male passengers did was a heroic act. It will be remembered by the posterity, by the coming generation. England has declared a day of mourning for the dead. The government has announced some financial relief to the relatives of the victims. One survivor, Marion M. Montreux, remarked, "I have never seen anything more tragic and nobler in all my life." Find out the following words are pronounced. So activity 5 is talking about pronunciation. So S-A-N-K, sank. Sank or sake, said. Then band, bench. No, is a bench. Grant, it's grant, not grant, it's grant. Question number 14, which is the vowel sound used in these words? A, E, we will pronounce. How do I pronounce this sound? And the E in man. It's not an, it's man. Man. Do you have this vowel sound in your mother tongue? No, we don't have. We say ah. The we don't have. Question 17. Find out more words from the poem with this vowel sound. So let us see. And, not and, it's and. Gigantic. Is, not as, it's is. Captain, not captain, it's captain. That, not that, it's that. Then act, not act, it's act. Then it is not than, it's then. It's then. So with that we came to the end of the almost all the textual activities and we will be starting with the gooseberries. The next one is harmonious living in the second last unit. So we'll be coming with the activities and the complete notes of gooseberries by Anton Pavlov Chekhov. Thank you very much.